Welcome everybody to the third edition of Explorer Talks. Today we're going to have the opportunity to learn more about our next reality.
Thank you so much for having me and taking some time out of your lunch break today. The next reality, where are we heading with the technology we have here today? We're going to focus on virtual reality, but also on the end, where is all these other emerging technologies, where do they end up together? So, just short about me. This is where it all started. My name is Viktor Peterson, and I started with virtual reality 3 years ago at this stage. Unfortunately, I was not the heavy metal dude in the picture that I wanted to be when I was little. Big heavy metal fan. Do we have any out there? No? No Iron Maiden t-shirts? Oh, there you go, one. Thank you so much. Cool, but I ended up on the other end of the camera. So 2016, you could actually capture in 360 degrees video. And these dudes, I just walked up to them, hi, do you want to capture this epic concert headlining stage of Sweden Rock Festival? And they were, yeah, sure, cool, go ahead, do it. And that's where we began. And soon after, it followed. But now I'm involved in 3 different projects or companies, more companies. So CLVR Works was the first one you saw there. Started with 360 video, moving into virtual reality and also augmented reality. So we work with spear intelligence and production capability out of Sweden to deliver some really cool stuff, really bound-breaking stuff. And then I'm also involved in Lindholmen Science Park, where we try to consolidate all VR and AR initiatives from the West Coast, Gothenburg, where I'm based. But if you ask my girlfriend, I'm more or less based here now. But anyway, we're trying to build a national VR AR center, test site in Gothenburg. So lots of things moving on, where we try to bridge the academic sector, the public and the private sector to work together on a neutral ground to accelerate the innovation we have here in Sweden. And the last initiative is Mission X, which is Sweden's first VR center, which actually, first one is here in Gallerian in Stockholm. So if you haven't been, and if you're interested in exploring some cool experience in virtual reality, please come. It's super fun, and you will be laughed at without knowing. So that's a little about my background and why I'm standing here today. Today we're going to speak about virtual reality, augmented reality. I usually don't talk so much about these different entities. When I talk about virtual reality, I include all of these different XR, VR, MR, because we are moving into a continuum where we have the real life here now, and we're moving into the next one. So what you call every step in between is not as interesting as the result. Where are we heading? Where are our next reality? So for a first history lesson, I don't know, I had to read up a little from my school years, but the first industrial revolution started around 1800, plus minus 40 years, and it started with big manufacturing, urbanization, people growing and spreading out logistically with steam engine and trains and that kind of thing. So the second industrial revolution was more about electricity, combustion engine, steel, advanced production. So we're taking these steps, enhancing our capabilities. And the third industrial revolution is when this came up, with digitalization, with internet. We can spread out in totally new ways, digital ways. And what some people call the fourth industrial revolution is what we're in now. So where the edges between the physical world, the digital world, and the biological world, the edges in between these worlds are blurring up. Where are we going? So everything started with a story, more or less. Started with Homerus up here. The only course I got the highest grade in my diploma. Super interesting stuff. And we're moving through different ages, through different hardware into the latest. Here is an Oculus Go and an HTC Vive up on the right corner, which is great hardware to explore virtual reality and new worlds in. But we also have some new stuff coming up. So if we continue from the 360 concert at Sweden Rock Festival, the next cool stuff is really e-sport, also from 2016. How many here have watched e-sport in some way? Yeah? Okay. How many have watched hockey? Yeah? You don't even need to stretch your hand for that one. But this arena is actually the same as we played Hockey World Championship 2007 and won. We won 18 as well, but I don't know if it's the same arena. But anyway, they collect the same crowd, like 15,000 people, 13,000 people. They have 2 million people watching online, and ESL reached out to us and asked, okay, we want to produce something new. We want to meet our customers in a new product, in a new virtual world. So we actually put together a super great team, international team, to broadcast this in virtual reality. So you could teleport yourself through your ordinary smartphone to the stage on ESL Cologne with world champion, largest events in the world. And the next clip, you're inside the actual game, live. So this is pretty groundbreaking stuff, and got some cool traction as well. So I'm going to talk about some interesting cases to use this, but I mean there are numerous. You can use this technology for really anything, and everything from education, from science, from these kinds of news. You teleport yourself emotionally to a war zone. I cried first time I saw that one. But I'm going to talk more about the overhead structures, the key topics where virtual reality and augmented reality will impact our lives altogether. So the first one is like education and training. Everybody needs to be educated or trained at work. It can be dangerous simulations, you can't fail. It can be in school, learning more stuff. Compare virtual reality, this medium, to reading, a lecture, video, these kinds of other medium. You can recall 70% of what you explore in a virtual world. So the impact this will have is immense. This is a picture from the Nobel Museum, shipped half their stuff down to Dubai at an exhibition of Nobel laureates in physics, the Nobel Prize in Physics, what they have achieved for our understanding of the universe and ourselves and where we are. So here we we worked together with one of the coolest company, also Swedish company actually, that had the software for the big domes, the planetariums where you can use to swoop through space, and we took that dome theater and placed it into a virtual world, a headset. Also very exciting, and you can learn about the Nobel Prize, about the Nordic Light or the black holes out there, which also got the Nobel Prize this year, 2007. I have some of these cases with me if you're interested afterwards. But if education is one of these major points where it's going to impact us, we also have design. Everything needs to be designed. Everything you see here is designed. Usually it's designed in a computer on a 2D screen with software. But now you can design 3D in 3D. You can move in and you can collaborate and you can really work your imagination, or you can design through augmented reality IKEA apps instead of going around this too long circle. You can go see your home, you can look and refurnish, and pretty soon you can probably just decorate your home, walk around and just buy it now and get it home delivered, home mounted, everything. So everything needs to be designed. And also, this is also a topic on design. One case that Vive has on their blog. This chopper usually takes 7 years to produce, from the drawing board to get up in the air. And they use virtual reality to move into the design, into the drawing. And they could put the pilot inside the actual shopper, because usually it works so they put the drawing, the design, if they actually build stuff, and then they get the pilot to try it out, and then, okay, I can't see out of this angle, scrap it, remake. They can do all the testing in virtual reality already. So they cut down from 7 years to 1 year, the production. And I mean, just the cost of the production is one thing, but also the sales in these 6.5 years that they gain. I mean, the impact you can use this for is enormous. And this brings us to the third big step is collaboration. How can we collaborate in this virtual world to save time, to get more exciting stuff out there? And I've heard some interesting case within this industry, the automotive industry, where they use HoloLens to, usually you have decision makers in several different layers, which needs to go in a waterfall. But instead of having, example, 15 people in 3 different layers taking decisions over 2 months' time, they can all meet in virtual world, put up a 3D model, they can actually point, they can discuss, they can drag and drop, and in just half an afternoon they can come down to the even better results than they had from this old school waterfall model. So that's super interesting. How can you collaborate here? I don't know. It's really up for grabs. Another case where we can talk about collaborating is to Ovako. We talked about the second industrial revolution, about the steel manufacturing. This is in Sweden. We have this is Ovako, which is part of the largest steel manufacturer in the world, Nippon Steel, and they have lots of people coming every week to visiting their processes to learn and see more customers. So they just built an awesome visitor center. Last week it was announced. And there they have a virtual room with virtual tours where you can actually visit all their processes. You can choose your language. You can choose your production. Is it the ring mill? Is it the rolling mill? Or what am I interested in? So they can cut down on, usually they take the group, they have a walkthrough, a security walkthrough, they need to put on the helmets and they walk around, and sometimes different processes are closed down, and I mean, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, and in the end, maybe they didn't see the coolest stuff because they couldn't go too close enough or was closed at the day. So now everybody can get just in 10 minutes the best insight of what Ovako wants to show up. So just one cool case. Another Swedish case regarding the fourth of these pillars, which we all will be impacted, is in sales. Everything needs to be sold. So this is when I first placed the first order to the VR center. I called up a large electronics store in Sweden, and he was, oh yeah, sure, we can deliver tons of these VR computers and VR headset. We have experience. We just had a customer buying 90 of them. Okay, so maybe I'm not gonna start a VR center this day. But it was actually for this Volkswagen. They have all their cars in a virtual world, so they shipped one of these VR stations out to all of their resellers in Sweden. So they have like 400 models, different modifications, different colors, different upgrades, everything in just one configurator. So instead of having to pay for large, huge, square store with maybe 10 cars or 20 cars, they can have all of the cars in virtual, so you can try them. And they also connected this to the business system, so when you've designed your car together with the salesperson, you can just order it. And they sold, I think they sold hundreds of cars through this system, which is pretty amazing as well. And you can just switch whatever you like. And also this is sales, marketing. I mean, if you use just brainstorming, you have your TV commercials here. You can actually use gamification to get people interacting with your content. You can use your augmented reality like we did here It's not published yet, but it's a marketing campaign strengthening a brand. But you could use augmented reality on your bus stops. So if you have a poster there, you can have something happening. You can have your customer entering your virtual world. You can have a treasure hunt, or take me to your store. Either it's a physical one, it's a virtual world. How can you use this kind of technologies to really do something new out there? I mean, the door is wide open. Technology is out there. And the fifth main of these pillars, which will impact all of us, is data visualization. Because maybe this is a little fussy, what is data visualization? But in this world we live in, you have trillions of sensors. You have, I mean, to use an old term, Internet of Things, everything is connected, your phones, your TVs, your smartphones, your body. I mean, pretty much everything in the future will be connected. So you can use artificial intelligence to just filter out what's relevant, what's the relevant data here, because it's overflowing. And if you have an AI to sort out the relevant data, you can use virtual reality as a visual tool to actually dive into the data, into the relevant data, and see new ways of the data. So instead of having a PowerPoint or a long sheet with numbers, you can actually dive into the data. You can see colors, form, timing, and all of these things is also, it's all in real time. I mean, this is a gaming show, like Fångarna på fortet, if you remember that one, but in virtual reality, and you can also participate in this game from the TV sofa. You have the next guy over here, the blue one, is Monster, the recruiting firm. They're using like Hollywood graphics and leap motion. They track their hands, and they can control this puppet and produce like a super high-end commercial in just 15 minutes, which normally would take months and cost accordingly. So they use this new technology in new ways. In the right corner you have also esport. They superpose their heroes on stage, so you can actually see them, which is crazy. And in the lower right corner we have Stilla Studios, also Stockholm studio, which is super cool. They can film you both in the real world and virtual world at the same time. So you can be an orc, or you can be a different gender or whatever, and they can in real time capture you to produce really amazing movies, really cost efficient, really fast. And if you think, where would 3 have their next campaign? You can put all these things together. You can dive into a virtual world in Google Maps and Google Earth, which is real. You can just dive into this city. How's the demographics here? What kind of extra data layers do we have here? We can have live transactions. We can have competitors. I mean, all you can think of, you can jack this up and you can really dive into the world and look at it. And instead of going through tons of papers and meetings to decide what kind of campaign can be good where, you can actually have a decision in an hour, or at least a draft to look into. Okay, we see that we look at this data, we have these 3 hotspots for this kind of campaign we are thinking about. I mean, we can just brainstorm, but I don't have that many minutes. So, I mean, the world is not enough. We're moving from the real world into the digital world, and the next step, from January last month in CES, Vive also produced the next idea for the future. They are having a new VR headset, which is not tracked as the ordinary one that have 2 sensors, and the headset and the controls knows where they are because they know where the sensor are. These have cameras instead, so they scan the room to know where they are, so you can go from a room scale to a world scale with these glasses. And they are also easy, foldable, up and down, so you can hop in and out of the virtual world, the digital world. So you can work in virtual reality, and you can enjoy your virtual reality. They apply this beacon to teleport between virtual worlds. So you can go from work, and on a coffee break you can go to your favorite game and relax a little. Then you can teleport to the news, everything in virtual reality. They also working with Amazon and Mozilla, so you can web browse in VR. So you can browse in virtual reality. So if the third industrial revolution is about internet, this is really, you can move inside. And it will be much more social. VR today is pretty solitary, but it will be social in the future. And we also have a mystic picture here with a phone. I don't know if this is relevant to you, but this headset could be driven maybe by more than computers. Yeah, that's the overview of these 5 entities that will impact all of us, regardless of what business you're in. But you also have other emerging technologies. You have 5G, for example, which, if we talk about augmented reality, the next step is like these glasses to move in and outside of worlds. You can't have the computing power here. You need to have the computing power in the cloud. So you need to have 5G to have the computer up there and remotely access all of the data here. You have artificial intelligence, like we announced before, to handle all of these immersive data. We have super cool things in robotics, both physical and digital ones. I visited Singularity University this last year, which had some super interesting stories. I will just share one of this. A team, a pretty small team, they wanted to build a robot, a humanoid robot. And yeah, okay. So how they did this is that they just pointed out for an AR program, okay, these are the joints for the robots, and these the human joints. And artificial intelligence designed the skeleton, which to be light, flexible, hard, effective. Very interesting design, very natural design. And then you of course have the artificial intelligence in the head to understand. You can print this exoskeleton with carbon fiber and titanium, super strong in just one day. So you have like a Terminator in one day, connected through the internet via 5G. All the sensors out there, you can have a mass-produce these kinds of things. They can be connected. So if one robot learns something, the next robot learns it instantly. So you can paint different scenarios with all these technologies, where we're at and how we can use them. But the next revolution, I don't know if the fourth one, but I call it the next revolution. Everything will have intelligence. Everything will be implanted. Everything have new possibilities. So we need to be aware of these kind of trends because they're here now already. So how do we use this in our businesses, in our lives? They will impact our lives. And also, how do we use this for the future? This is also an interesting VR for impact, to use virtual reality to make good, to do good, because VR and AR and all these immersive technologies have the capability of democratized knowledge, education. I mean, we can teleport ourselves from other people's realities. We can learn from everybody else. It's an interesting time, an interesting era we are entering now. So I just want to finish up with, we have this possibility. How can we use this technology, to achieve more, to save the planet, or whatever you're burning for, whatever you're passionate about? And yeah, hope you got some new ideas. I'll be here for a couple of minutes to talk if you're interested, brainstorm your ideas, your possibilities, or just if you're interested in have a look at some of the cases we produced. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, everybody.